You know, it's very interesting because at the end of this opera, I love these singers. At the end of this act, you know, they leave. And it's written in the score that they should be off stage, and they can be on, depending, but they leave. And the soprano goes up to a high C. Usually, most of the times when I grew up, they never did it in key. It was always dropped a half a key, what made it be natural. But it is a high note. And nowadays, they struggle, and they go up to the high C. No, I shouldn't say you people don't struggle. But they go to the high C. The tenor does not go to the high C. It's written that he drops down to a sixth lower. But it's through practices and through tradition, the tenor was always going up to the high C with the soprano. I love it here. We don't do that. We let the tenor do the original notes, which are the lower notes. Sopranos hate it because they feel, or they need somebody with them. They go, ah, and lean against their bodies. And I love it. When you go out, as I used to say to all these graduating tenors, don't take the high C. Let the sopranos sink or swim on their own. I mean, really. But there, you know, there's famous recordings with Nellie Melba and Caruso, who were the duo that sang this during Puccini's life. But even Puccini got tired of Melba. He used to say, oh, another Melba bohème, I have to see it. But those the really early ones that they made, she is stunning on high C. She does it. She takes it, and she takes it sweetly, the way it's written. She takes it. It's beautiful. But Caruso goes up with her. So apparently, Puccini didn't mind that the tenor goes up with the soprano. But here, these young students, these young singers, I should say, are encouraged to do what's on the score. This way, when they go out and they sing for Muti, and Muti says no, as written, or they'll sing for another conductor who allows them to do the traditional things. At least they know what's on the printed page, and they're flexible like that. And that's the way it should be. Okay, up to this point, are there any questions you want to ask them, or any? I encourage you to ask them whatever you want to. I'll start off. I told them I was going to ask them this too. What in the score do you think epitomizes, or is something, a line or whatever, that you really think applies very much, and it is the character? When we discussed it this afternoon, you came up with some very good lines. And tell us why you think these lines or these words really apply to your character. Why don't we start off with Rodolfo? What do you think that you sing is, oh my God, this is him in a nutshell?
Oh, well, we were talking about this a little bit ago, and there's a lot of lines from Rodolfo because he's a poet, so he's very descriptive. The beginning is a great indication when he's looking out into the chimneys of Paris and realizing he has an old cruddy stove that doesn't work. Also, when they're burning the play, and he's describing the flames and how it vanishes into a scene of love. I think those are really good moments for Rodolfo.
Yeah, I agree. That's a great scene because they all describe how they see the fire, how his play is burning. He describes it in poetic terms, as a poet, I should say. And the painter says, oh my God, the color is fabulous. Just the right, perfect color. And who else do we have? Oh, yes, and what do you say?
I say, what profound thoughts.
What, yes, he looks at this burning fire and he sees, like a young philosopher, such profound thoughts. Of course, they're mocking his playwriting, too. They're mocking it, but nonetheless, it shows you how the brain's... Oh, going in line, you tell us what you think.
I think more than the philosophers that he thinks about, there's a great line in the second act where Musette is doing a business, causing a big scene, and you see a slightly more human side of him, less sort of cut and dry intellectual. He actually says, well, you know, I think she's quite pretty, but to be honest, I just prefer to have a good book and a pipe. And so you can see that he's just more than just the intellectual side. He's not a reclusive person, but he just likes his own time. He doesn't like the drama that involves other people, and he enjoys his little pleasures, his tobacco, and thinking intellectual thoughts, but also just the feeling of being by himself. He doesn't need to be around people all the time.
And do you want to add to that? Alternate? Introduce yourself, because I haven't met you.
Hi, I'm Nathan Milholland. I'm a first-year bass baritone. I'm also singing Colinia and Benoit Alcindoro. I don't really have anything to add. I think the Pensiero Profondo was the line that I had come up with when we discussed this afternoon, so I think that was pretty well summed up.
Yeah, good line, right. And Marcello's? Introduce yourself. They do.
Hi, my name's Jared Bybee. I'm a second-year baritone,
And
also
from?
singing the role of Marcello.
And you're from what?
I'm from Modesto, California.
Okay.
Actually, speaking of this one line, Justo Color, as we're looking into the fire, I must have sung that line 120 times with Maestro, getting that perfect, artistic, painter-esque kind of
Well, you could hear the words.
expression.
He says justo color. He doesn't say justo color, which literally means just meaning appropriate color, the right color. Well, I don't know. I know quite a few painters, and they're, oh yes, they're justo color, just the perfect color.
I'll have it perfect for you by opening night, I promise. But I think Marcello, what I was talking with Maestro about today is in each act, he is the most bipolar of all the characters. He goes from having a manic fight with his girlfriend, ex-girlfriend Musetta, they're always on and off. Then in the next act, he's comforting his best friend in the final moments, the darkest part of the opera, when Mimi passes away. And I grab Rodolfo as he runs to her, and I yell the word coraggio. And so he just, the span of emotions that Marcello goes through in the opera is incredible. A little bit bipolar, but it's fun for us to explore so many colors within each act.
Apparently you don't know many painters. I don't find that so peculiar with painters. Painters I know have always been that way. They're up or they're down, or they're in, the case of Chateau Lafitte's at the door, the next day they're driving a hack.
Well, I think on the way home I might grab some watercolors and experiment myself.
I think you should.
I definitely need to get more into character.
I think you should. Especially in the middle of the 1800s in Paris. Whew, come on.
I think we should take a field trip to Paris, don't you? I think we should go. Anyway, I've really enjoyed the role, and I'm going to hand it to one of the other...
Yeah, Mr. Pina, do you have anything special that you think about the character that's in the music or the libretto?
Well, there is one phrase in the duet in the fourth act when he repeats many times, "E esce di Musetta il viso ancor."
Yeah.
So he's always thinking about Musetta. It always appears to him, from the beginning of the opera, he has her in the thoughts, and then she appears in the second act, again in the third act. So they are just inseparable. Is that a word in Spanish? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, what he's referring to in the last act when they sort of like drifted apart, he says, every time I paint, and he's ostensibly singing to himself, even though the other character, he's saying, no matter I put my paintbrush down and no matter what I do, it's her face. It's her face that I keep painting over and over again. That's true, very good. And why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Hunter Enoch. I'm a first-year baritone, and I'm also singing Marcello. And I think that Puccini does a really good job of every character's first line giving you an idea of who that character is. And I feel that Marcello's first line where he's painting and saying that this Red Sea soaks and freezes me and it's like rain falling on my back and then he's going to get revenge by drowning the Pharaoh. I feel like that, he goes through a huge mood shift, and I feel like that encapsulates his character perfectly from the very beginning.
We still have paint on that, above that fire, on that mantelpiece there, I think. Red paint, if you see it. We did one production of La Bohème in the Round here, and there he was painting the Red Sea. Because that's what he opens up. He's like kind of frustrated with this work, and it's cold, and he says, you know what I'm going to do? Painting this Pharaoh, I'm going to drown him in that Red Sea. And there's still red paint on our tile over there because of that. Very, very vigorous Marcello, guess. And Schonard, introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Michael Adams. I am from Fort Worth, Texas. I am a second-year resident artist. I'm a baritone. I'm sharing the role of Schonard with Jorge. And the first thing that Schonard says is, the Bank of France has gone broke for you. And it's fitting because, like Maestro said, Schonard is the most successful. He makes the most money. He tends to bring, he pays the rent. He brings food home on multiple occasions in the opera. So I think it's a fitting line. Another thing that's interesting is towards the end of the first scene that you all saw here this morning, or this evening. Wow, it's been a long day. He says, guys, a bit of religion. One drinks at home, but one, meaning I think a bohemian, must eat out. And the very essence of a bohemian lifestyle is living paycheck to paycheck. Even if you can't pay the rent, you use the money, you use the possessions that you have to live like kings, you know, live in splendor. And so these guys go to a cafe in the second act, and you know, they order chicken and wine and stuff. And by the time the bill comes out, they've already spent all of the money that he made like just a couple of hours ago. It's ridiculous, but it's.
Jorge,
I think
do you have any?
They haven't even paid the bill.
Right. Any line that you like? You think?
Well, he said all my favorite lines, but
Well.
I will add another one. When he realized that they already spent the money, he said, "Where is my treasure? Like, mal mio tesoro dove, no?"
Yeah, right.
And it's just like they're just like they play a lot and they spend like they don't think in life. So he's like the most practical of the others. So I think
He is, and he works out in the stories. The most successful too, you know.
Yeah,
in
in
the
the
original
novel,
story, he's the
in the
most
book.
successful. Yes. How about from the women? Let's hear from the Mimis.
Hello, my name is Marina Costa Jackson. I'm from Utah. I'm a third-year resident artist. And Vanessa and I talked about this, and we feel that the line that encompasses Mimi is in her first act aria, where she says, mi piacciono quelle cose che han si dolce malia, che parlano d'amor, di primavere, che parlano di sogni e di chimere. Which in other words means she loves things that have sweet charm to them, that speak of springtime, that speak of love. And we feel that that encompasses Mimi because she's a seamstress and she makes these beautiful, intricate flowers, and she takes from springtime and she takes from the sunshine that she sees. And there's actually a moment in the aria where it feels like she's just drowning and soaking in all of the sunshine.
Right.
And I think we both think that she has, you know, just voce di sole.
Right.
The best Mimis have a voce di sole, which means the voice of sunshine. You can hear it within her. And I don't think that Puccini made it a coincidence that she dies in the winter, because I think she's very much a being of just being in the sunshine, springtime. That is everything about her.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and sort of to add to that, it's been a cold, brutal winter, and she's sick. So I get goosebumps every time she talks of spring, because it's almost like she remembers when she was healthy. And she longs for that snow to melt and for the flowers to bloom. And yeah, it's beautiful.
Well, I think we all long for the spring.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. So, which brings us to what I think also what David said, which, well, I love a wonderful voice. There's no question about it. But I cannot understand why a tenor who's approaching 50 wants to sing this role. I mean, really, I mean, these are parts for young people. Sure, they have great voices, and we can hear them sophisticatedly manipulate this and do this and sing a double R and do this, and then, you know. Pavarotti was wonderful at it when he sang Carezze on high flat. He closed the A, he sang a double Z, and he had the technique that he could do that. But this is a young people's opera. That's why they did that production, which actually I didn't particularly like that much, but it was enjoyable on its own. When they did it on Broadway, the Buzz production. Right, I mean, and Rent, you know, the musical Rent, so that's based on La Bohème, the one they did on Broadway. But it's about young people when they, not like me, you're arthritic and you can't walk out in the snow and you can't do, no, these people did it. They climbed 4 or 5 flights to go home. If they forgot something, they had to climb up again 4 flights to get it, you know, so it needs vitality and richness, and it's great. I'd like now to take you to the Café Momus, where they all are. Yes, please. The gentleman want to ask the singers about. He likes the quartet. Are you speaking about specifically the quartet, or just the idea of singing ensemble, the idea of people, not just one person singing an aria, singing with somebody, and do they enjoy doing that? Well, I should say that it looks to me like they're enjoying it. So, sure, they enjoy doing it. And why do you enjoy doing it? People, singers, come on up. You're singers. Why do you enjoy singing ensembles?
Well, I mean, this first act particularly is really, it's really tricky to get it all to fit together. There's so much going on and it's so quick. and there are so many details as well, and it's just so satisfying when it all falls exactly into place, and you're sort of tying in with each other, and not just like being exactly in rhythm, but sort of, you know, thinking a thought and someone responding to you and back and forth, and being at the same time really exact and really kind of meaningful with the text. It's just, I don't know, it's just really exciting, and you kind of feed a lot of the energy from the other people kind of jumping around doing stupid stuff. It's pretty fun.
Yes. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Christina Nicole Lewis. I am a third-year resident artist, mezzo-soprano. I am in the chorus of this opera. I just wanted to add on that I just think the simplicity of being able to sing and share so many intricate feelings and emotions that happen all at the same time with one another, like with different characters, is just wonderful in itself. I mean, it's one thing to sing alone, but to have different parts and different harmonies all in, you know, just immersing, you know, coming together at the same time to create just one big thought is, I think, just a great pleasure in itself in terms of why I enjoy singing in ensemble. So.
Yeah, and especially when you're singing something and you're singing a duet or a trio or whatever, and the person has an opposite viewpoint. And you're saying something and they're, no, no, no. And as an artist, sure, as a singer, you have to think about the notes and where you're going and all. But as an artist, you see, how do you fit in this tapestry of Quartet from Rigoletto is a good example. You have 4 people singing at the same time, and each person is singing an entirely different sentiment. Entirely different sentiment. Who's happy, who's sad. And, well, this is much different kind of an opera, but they're men, at the beginning, they're all singing different things about, and they all, you have to pay attention to the music, the way it's written, that it's accurate, but yet you have to make it sound spontaneous, as if you're reacting for the first time. So it's, yeah, sure, it's very much so.
May I add one thing?
Sure.
Just wait, very quick. I love when Maestro says that if you want to know the best actor on stage, you look for the people that aren't singing. And when you're in a quartet, this is one of the challenges that we have. It's beautiful and it's fun and it's wonderful, but when you have other people on stage, you have to act even when you're not singing. And sometimes it's easier to get away with that when you're the only person on stage. But when you're conversing and sharing ideas, then you'll see if the people really understand the Italian.
Right.
Or if they...
Next time you go to the opera, do that. Don't watch the singer singing. Watch the singer that isn't singing, but listening to the singer on stage. So and you'd be surprised, there's very little acting going on.
But not here.
Or reacting, I should say reacting.
But Maestro, not here. We're all very good at that.
Right, you have to, right.
We've been trained very
And
well.
you have to make believe you're hearing it for the first time, even though you've gone through 100 rehearsals, right? So that's, anyway, we're now at Café Mamuse in the heart of the Latin Quarter. It's Christmas Eve. People are selling fritters on the street. They're selling sausages, anything else? Caspello, whatever you say, or this, what else? Yeah, right. And, you know, a critic was telling me the other day, oh, yes, I was talking to somebody who saw his first bohème and hated it because didn't believe that people would sit outside on Christmas Eve. And, well, I can assure you, I've been on Christmas Eve in Paris, and it was cold, and people still sat outside with those big fires that they had there, and they're warming their hands and taking a drink and doing this all the time. Well, anyway, they are, I think, sitting outside in this production, aren't they? Right. Okay. They're sitting outside, and they're trying to keep warm, and the crowds are milling up and down, buying things. It's like a gigantic flea market, and you have to imagine children and all kinds of things. And we have clients who are going to go into Café Mamuse, and people gossiping, selling, all kinds of milling. Really, our stage is not adequate for it, but at least you'll get an idea of what should be going on. And this, we use, the rest of the people in school are going to be singing what we call the ensemble. Here, what I love about AVA is, and it's true, it's happened, you have somebody singing at Scala Milan, a lead role. And when he finished his lead role at Scala, he came back to AVA and he sang chorus. That's fabulous. That's the way it should be. You know, this shows you the collegial spirit of things. That's what really AVA is. You don't come to AVA to see them wearing $25,000 costumes because you're not going to see it. But you come to hear the young people discover, to be encouraged by people like David, and the start of the careers, and you follow their energy, so to speak, and you support them. Not only with money, but with meeting them and talking to them and encouraging them. Well, anyway, let's go to Café Momus, the 5e arrondissement of Paris, and think about why you like music. Think about it. Yeah, it's easy to say, oh, I like to just sit and be entertained. Yeah, but there's a reason you want to be entertained. Think about it. There are some wonderful books out there that will encourage you to think about that. Whether you like music because, as I say, it takes you away from your sorrow, it takes you away from an illness, or it makes you think about other things, or whatever. Think about that.